this episode of the Sober Bros podcast, my brother Daniel and me have a story to share with you. It was a big transformational event that happened about 12 years ago. We're going to share that with you in this episode. But first, we want to kick it off by sharing a little bit of the volume of how much we drink, because we're not sober yet. Because there's a whole spectrum in how much alcoholics drink. It can be like a super ton early in the morning, or it can start late and not be that much. We're going to share with you what our volume is, and then we're going to tell you about that story. So, Daniel, how much do you drink?
Oh, man. Well, starting to feel good now. This is... I
know this is the sweet spot right here. After a few, it's like...
After a few, this is like the really good spot where you're like really like dropping into it and feeling the saddlebags come off.
Yeah, you know, some people like wake up and they hit the fifth of vodka.
I can't do it. I can't do it until the sun is like at a certain level. And then I can definitely do it. These days it's like 4:30, 5 o'clock. But these days I can easily do 3 bottles of wine a night. It's my preferred method of taking care of myself is with wine. Yeah, and up to 3 bottles of wine a night. Trying to taper off.
Yeah, in my opinion, I don't know. I think that's a lot, but I've never really been around hardcore alcoholics that get it going early and go for the hard liquor and stuff. 3 bottles sounds like a lot to me, but I'm with you. You know, you might call us functional alcoholics. We have jobs.
I know I am.
And, you know, we wait till a reasonable hour of the day when the sun's just about to set. And
yeah, everything's taken care of. The dishes are washed. Things are put away. My daughter's fed. You know, you take care of those things and then go.
Right. And then you stay up until what time?
If my daughter's with me, then I'll stay up until, sometimes we stay up until midnight. And when my daughter's with me, I don't drink 3 bottles of wine. I take like maybe 2 bottles of wine, which my body at this point can handle so easily. And then I'll take some like sleep medication
tolerance
to be able to actually go to sleep.
Yeah, that makes sense.
But if my daughter's not around, yeah, I'll drink 3 bottles of wine and stay up until 4 or 5 o'clock in the morning.
Yeah, that's crazy.
And I'm not even getting like sloppy drunk. I'm not stumbling around and hurting myself.
Yeah, it's not like extreme in one night in the micro, but in the macro, it's this consistent frequency of night after night that becomes a problem.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then it affects the next day, like in a really big way. It affects my business because I'm starting up a business and I don't really have the bandwidth. And the reason why my volume has gone up dramatically, because even just a couple of months ago, it could be just a bottle and a half a night, you know, and I would be totally fine. But there's been some recent, you know, relationship stuff that just set me on a path of self-destruction there for a little bit. Yeah,
we won't get into it too much this episode, but Daniel's gone through some recent hardships in the relationship scene, whatever. So we'll get into that later. But the frequency, we're about the same, you and me. I might be a little less.
You're way less.
Yeah, I don't really do the wine too much because it kind of makes me tired or whatever. So I stick to the beer, and I usually go for, you know, it's funny how a consistent alcoholic will get the sweet spot of, you know, they got it dialed in. I'm at like 7 or 8 beers is what's good for me. IPAs, the percentage is going to be around 6.5. Yeah. And if it's like 7, that's fine. But if it's 8, you're killing me with the 8 or 9, you know, so let's keep it around 6.5 and about 7 or 8 of those, and we're good. That's my frequency or volume, how much I drink. So depends on someone's opinion. You know, that could be really bad for them. It's definitely more than the average non-addicted person.
For sure.
You know, but so spectrum, that's where we are.
Yeah, so 12 years ago, we were living in Portland, And I know I was working 3 jobs.
Are we getting into the story?
Yeah.
All right. So this is the beginning of the story that is really cool.
It's pretty cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, 12 years ago, I was working 3 jobs. You were working, I think, maybe 1 or no jobs. And
I went through so many jobs in my 20s and 30s.
And I was working at this coffee shop, and I was closing, and they wanted me to spray Windex into the microwave to clean it out at the end of every night. And I was like, this is insane. This is insane. I can't do this anymore. One of my other jobs, I was working for Steve, shipping stuff out for eBay. And it was in this giant warehouse. One of the tenants right next to us in the studio was the leader of the Church of Satan in Portland. And his artwork was all over the place. And energetically, I was just the most angry, vicious, like hateful person in the world. And I remember you had given me a book by Nick Good and David Wolf. And months before that, I was just like, I can't possibly read this. This is like way too positive for me. But I got to a breaking point, and I read the book about that and the law of manifestation.
The Law of Attraction.
Law of Attraction.
By Jack Canfield.
Yes.
Highly recommended. Link in description.
It changed my life. Like I finally got to the point where things were so bad that they really had to change. It was a crucible moment. And I read those books, and I started just having this like mantra in my head of positive affirmations and blocking everything else out, and got to the point where things just had to shift. So I quit 2 of my jobs, spent most of my time at a park in meditation and writing, still drinking, not as much, not nearly as much. But you and I at that point both decided like things really had to shift and change, and we had to get the fuck out of like this urban prison.
Yeah, I definitely felt almost like literally that I had hit a wall, because I kept going from stupid job to stupid job, working 1 or 2 days, quitting, whatever, like looking on Craigslist. It was insane. I was just like, this isn't working. It doesn't feel good. Something's got to change, because we were starting to get into like the positive books and the positive nutrition, but still feeling angry or drinking and just hanging loosely with the friends, casually going to bars and chit-chatting, but something had to change. And it was like, God damn. And so we did. We found this online, we found this.
David Wilcock.
David Wolf.
Oh, David Wolf.
Yeah, the longevity conference.
But before that, we were like watching all those videos from David Wilcock.
Okay.
I read the book 2012 and the Serpent of Light by Drunvalo Melchizedek, and how the spiritual energy of the planet had moved to Lake Titicaca in Bolivia.
Right, that's important. Yeah, we were reading those books about...
I started listening to Bolivian music, and we were like, let's go.
And I got this one book from the library that was on Peru, like pictures of Machu Picchu and stuff, yeah. And I would just look at it and be like, Machu Picchu, South America, beauty, and UFOs too. And I was reading about crop circles, and at that time, actually, that's when we first saw our first UFOs. Like actually, like
in Oregon.
On some nights, looking up in the sky and seeing some things that you just can't explain. So we were literally seeing UFOs and reading these books about foreign places and opening consciousness. And so some things were unlocking. We were getting a grounding barefoot on the earth. And so
I was sleeping on the grass outside of the
we were hardcore.
Complex.
We were like just like getting barefoot and sleeping on the grass and just touching the earth. So we were getting grounded and with our feet and uplifting our consciousness on the upper chakra side, which is a revelation for us because our parents didn't teach us that. Our friends weren't about that. And so we kind of stumbled into it on our own, and it changed us.
Yeah, there was something in like our innate personalities that got cracked open by this information that just resonated so deeply because it's so primordial, and it just touched something in us that was just really ready for it, ready to, I think, really break this generational pattern that happens to so many people, that we were ready to let that really affect us and change our lives, not knowing how that was going to look, not knowing what that was going to be like at all.
So that stuff that was happening inside of our minds and bodies, like transferred into the 3-dimensional realm, like we had to do something with our physical bodies and go somewhere. So we found this like health conference that was going on in Los Angeles from some people that we were connected with, David Wolf and stuff, longevity in Los Angeles. And so sent an email to like be volunteers, and they accepted us. And so we didn't have cars. We were like Portland hipster bikers, you know, with the tight pants and all that. I still got the thighs to prove it. And so we sent an email, and they accepted, said, yeah, you can volunteer. So how are we going to get down there? We didn't have really money. So we hitchhiked. We decided.
Well, we sold everything that we had.
Okay, so we had some stuff and sold it. Daniel's got the memory.
Yeah. So like I had 2 bikes that were like super vintage Italian or 80s American lugged steel, amazing bikes. I sold those bikes and some other stuff I had, and made the money that actually got us down there. I think we left, I had like $1,000.
Amazing.
Yeah. And our friend Laura drove us down to Klamath Falls and dropped us off there.
Oh, and we went to the hot spring and all that.
Yeah, we went to the hot spring.
Oh, geez.
Yeah. And yeah, from there, just serendipitous ride after serendipitous ride. I still have the journal of it, like who picked us up and their stories and
oh wow, I didn't know
our
that.
Stories. Yeah.
You should check that out sometime.
Yeah. Really
so
amazing.
We had this plan from K Falls, which is Klamath Falls in Oregon, to Lake Titicaca in Bolivia.
Yeah, we were planning on going to the conference and then somehow making our way down to Bolivia.
Yeah, just taking a leap of faith. You know, we left Portland.
No passports.
Yeah, no plan, no passports, hardly any money, just kind of feeling so inspired to change things up for something better. And
yeah, I remember saying in Beaverton that I would rather dumpster dive and be homeless but free than to be working these 9-to-5 jobs just to pay for a house over my head and an alcohol habit.
Yeah, it's crazy. So we did the conference. It went well. We made a lot of really cool connections, met a lot of cool people there. And that has really carried on to the present day. That was in Los Angeles. And then long story short, we made some connections synchronistically at the last minute to like meet up with some people to volunteer at a hot spring retreat in Arizona through the conference in Los Angeles. And so that happened, and we got a ride out there to the hot spring retreat. It was amazing. Just met David Wolf and some other people we looked up to, and made some good connections. We volunteered in a kitchen there at the hot spring retreat, making food for all the people there. So, I don't know, about 100 people. And the people in the kitchen said, hey, Whipple Brothers, you guys are so good. You can work at our restaurant in Sedona.
Yeah, the woman running the retreat, Jennifer War, saw mostly my work ethic and said,
oh yeah, I don't mind the disses. I don't mind them at all.
yeah, do you want to come work at my restaurant in Sedona, Arizona? And I was like, yeah, on one condition, like my brother has to come with me.
Oh,
you know?
Shit.
And she's like, great, yeah, perfect. And so, yeah, that's how we wound up in Sedona. We never made it to Bolivia.
Yet, yeah, that's the thing. We went to Sedona, started working in that restaurant. Daniel still works there, and my wife works there. She's just off camera, yawning and laughing and scrolling on Instagram. But we haven't made it to Bolivia yet. And the way I see it is like, we just haven't made it there yet.
No, not yet.
We've kind of been bebopping around Sedona for the last 12 years now, but shit, man, like I'd still love to go to Titicaca.
Yeah. And in the meantime, you've had all kinds of other crazy experiences.
Those are stories I cannot even get into now, but definitely in future episodes. Like I was a private chef for a billionaire and traveled the world on his private jet. There's all kinds of crazy stories that have happened for you too. But that one in particular really changed things up. It uprooted us from Portland, our home, from when we grew up, and put us off into the big world in a way.
Yeah.
And it's kind of rattled us up, and we've gone through the tumbler.
And that's one thing I would like to say, actually, is that throughout my life, especially my alcoholic life, alcohol has actually served me in a really big way. Because I know when I was much younger, in my 20s, going through some very traumatic spiritual stuff and relationship stuff, alcohol as a solvent was able to help me to like get in there emotionally, to bring stuff up to the surface and look at it and deal with it and journal about it and write music about it. And it's not like in Portland when we left, we were sober. We weren't sober. We definitely did all we could to prioritize money to drink, you know? So it's not like we were alcoholics that were just like bogged down and hindered and stunted by this thing and wanted to becoming homeless. For me, alcohol has definitely been something that I put it into service to a large degree, even to this day. It's not like I go out partying all the time. I don't go out to bars. I'm not hanging out with friends and just doing like rails of cocaine. And although we've done that, for the most part, you know, I prefer to like be at home by myself, drinking and just like processing emotional stuff. And I'm journaling and I'm writing all the time. And I've got stacks of journals at home, like Mom used to do. You know, Mom has like binders and binders and binders of journals.
So it sounds like there might be, it's not all a wash. There might be some benefits.
There's a redeeming factor to it for sure.
In the process. And so that's definitely something that we're going to cover over the course of this show, because that's pretty deep. I mean, there's a lot there.
Yeah.
Some of the redeeming qualities of this substance interaction. So
there's a redemptive factor in the darkness of alcoholism for some people. I don't recommend it.
Yeah. So that was the story of pretty much the last decade that got us from there to here. It was so good to live it with you and reflect on it and to share with you. I do invite, if you want to learn more information about our story, any aspect of it, leave a comment. We're so open to like interacting with you, the community and people, and helping you. And if you're digging the content so far, stay tuned, because there's a whole lot more in this show. Be sure to subscribe. Thanks for tuning in.